Hi, I'm Graham, managing editor of the Cigar Lounger magazine, and welcome back to another interview with one of our personal favorites, House of Emilio 1502 Cigars. This is Enrique.
Graham, thank you for having me here. My name is Enrique Sanchez, 1502 Cigars.
And thank you for taking time out. We appreciate that. So, tell us a little bit about 1502 Cigars, maybe a little bit of your background. How did 1502 Cigars come about?
Well, it's an excellent question you asked. 1502 actually was the year Nicaragua was discovered by Christopher Columbus. I was born and raised in Nicaragua. My family has been living in Nicaragua for 300 years probably. And that's giving something, a number, a name to remember something where everything started. It was the year 1502.
Wow, I like that. How did you come into the House of Emilio? Tell us a little bit about that story.
Well, it actually happened in IPCPR 2012 in Orlando. I got to meet Gary. A great gentleman. We sit down. I gave him one of the 1502 Ruby. He gave me one of the AF2, one of my favorite. We talk. We didn't talk about cigars. We talk about life. We talk about his vision, what I wanted for the cigar industry. And one thing led to another. And after that, he gets up and said, "You know what? It would be an honor for me to be carrying your cigars." And I was shocked in the beginning. I didn't have the answer. And then he told me he had a project in Nicaragua about La Musa, art school. So I said, okay, let's do a deal. You let me help you with your project in Nicaragua, and I will let you help me out with distribution at 1502 in the country.
Well, that seems to be working out pretty nicely for the both of you guys right now. So before we got on camera, you were kind enough to gift me what is probably right now my favorite cigar. In fact, when I walked into Cigar Mojo, Trey had already said out loud, "Hey Graham, aren't you going in for the 1502 today?" Right? So he already knows I'm a raving fan. So I do this as a fan first and foremost. But one of the things you pointed out to me that I've always noticed is at the foot of the cigar, there's a little wrap over it. Tell us a little bit about the wrap.
Oh, Grant, that we call a cigar lock. Actually, it's my innovation to the industry. After more than 20-something years smoking cigars, now I get to do things my way. So what it does is it protects the wrapper for peeling and breaking. It helps you to light the cigar from the outside to the inside. And from the first draw, you're gonna feel the Nicaraguan flavor.
Outstanding. I'm stunned that actually we haven't seen this already more often. I think it's absolutely brilliant.
Well, you're not going to be able to see it very often because we patent that right now. It's going to be only for the cigar for Global Premium Cigars, which is my company, and definitely 1502 Cigar Group.
Fantastic. So tell us a little bit about 1502 in terms of the portfolio of cigars. I know there's a green label, there's the ruby, and there's the black, correct? So tell us a little bit about each.
Well, 1502 Emerald is the one you have in your hand right now. It's actually when we created it was my starting of the day cigar. One of the master blends I was working with, nicknamed it as a fina fuerte, fine and strong. So it's a cigar I always like to have after my breakfast. Then you move to the 1502 Ruby, the one I'm enjoying right now. Actually, it's my after lunch cigar. And that cigar is a more medium body, medium plus body. Mm-hmm. And then for after dinner, you have the 1502 Black Coat. And eat well before you try it because it has its character.
It is absolutely, it's funny, I would call it full flavored. I'm reluctant to go full bodied because I almost feel like that has a negative connotation that people are reluctant to try those kind. But I think anybody who's maybe not committed to just Connecticut cigars would thoroughly enjoy the black. I think it's enough flavor, but smooth enough that everybody would actually enjoy that.
Definitely. One of the things when we're doing the blending is try to get the flavor. All three lines, they're full flavor lines, and 100% different between one or the other. So the black one specifically, when a full body cigar with a full flavor, but a cigar that doesn't pull the hair out of your chest, which you will be able to enjoy. That's one of the reasons we smoke cigars, is to enjoy. It's having a struggling with a cigar that is overpowering in your palate. It's not that enjoyable. So that one, it has the character, but it has the flavor, and that's the reason.
So we like to ask some offbeat questions, if you will, now that we have a little background in 1502 and the profile of some of your cigars. Tell us about, a little bit more about Enrique. One of our favorite questions that Vince and I like to ask is, in the history of mankind, if you could sit and have a cigar with anyone, who would that be?
That would be Sino Davidoff.
Really?
Sure.
Okay, give us a little background on it. Why you? Because you didn't even hesitate there. So give us some background as to why you would choose it.
I see Sino Davidoff as one of the most elegant person, and he put his lie about the tobacco. So before enjoying a cigar, it was a gentleman habit. Now we get to enjoy it with the ladies. Thank God.
Great.
But it's mainly the gentleman. So he identified that kind of character. A gentleman is smoking a cigar. It's not just grabbing one stick, it's the elegance, everything that has to carry with a cigar.
Okay. Tell us about your favorite size cigar that you like to smoke. If you're, are you a Toro guy, more of a Corona guy? I know often Vince and I ad nauseum bring up Lanceros. What's a personal favorite for you?
Well, it all depends how much time do I have to enjoy a cigar. My favorite, definitely, it will be a Toro size.
Toro.
Toro is a 6x50. It gives the perfect percentage between the wrapper, the binders, and the long fillers. But if you don't have that much time, a Robusto would do it, or even a Lancero would do it. And by the way, we come out with something new this year. I will get back to you.
Okay, I know you can't. You'd have to kill us if you told us. I understand.
No, I will tell you later on.
Oh, okay, when the camera's off.
Just about ready to be shipped here in the States. They will be hitting the market.
Fantastic.
But then, going back to your question, you have less time. That Corona size will be perfect. So it depends on the time you have to enjoy a cigar.
Are you you have a favorite time of day? I often believe the most underrated time to smoke a cigar is in the morning. I love waking up with a great cup of coffee and the right cigar. I think that pairing, while I tend to smoke a lot in the evening just because of the pace of life, do you have a particular time of day that you enjoy more than another?
I smoke cigar very often during the day, but 1 hour specific is after dinner. I finish dinner in my house, grab a scotch, or either a Flor de Caña rum from Nicaragua, or a good cognac. Get out of the patio. So my wife doesn't let me smoke in the house. So get out of the patio, almost lock the door and say, no kids allowed. And that is my time. It's the time that I take the moment to light my cigar, to enjoy, to think all the things I had done during the day, what I need to do, replan my strategies, or just relax and chill. Put my music on, and that's it. That's my moment. It's 1 hour and 30 minutes of the day in which is only me.
I love it. We're much the same way. That's usually how we wrap up our day. So I'm not at all surprised by your answer. So prior to getting into 1502, give us a couple of sticks cigars that you were smoking that really got you excited about getting into the cigar industry.
Well, it's very odd for me because I'm in Nicaragua and I started smoking a lot of the Cubans, the Habanos. Actually, my first real cigar that I can smoke, it was a Romeo Julieta Churchill. It was probably 22 years ago, and I inhaled it a couple of times. When you see the flying pigs going everywhere, and it had to be the cigar because Pink Floyd was not playing the stereo. So that's how I started. After that, I started enjoying Cogivas, all different brands. 15 years ago, I started enjoying more Nicaraguan, and I started saying, wait a second, this is outstanding. There's nothing to do with the Cubans. And also, it was all the respect that the Habanos had and everything, but I said, this is wonderful thing. I started trying new things, until I got a crazy idea working with my blend. And then I said, I knew there was something out there that was not in the market yet. Different flavors that we haven't tried yet. And that's when I went in and started reaching until I find what today you see, the 1502 Emerald, the 1502 Ruby, and the 1502 Black Gold.
Well, I tell you, House of Emilio's on fire because if you're anywhere on social media, each of the brands does a fabulous job checking in, staying in communication with everybody who's turning into raving fans like Vince and myself. If people do not yet have 1502 inside of their local tobacconist humidor. How could they go find a little more information about the company?
Well, you can go directly to our website. It's at 1502.com, 1502cigars.com. Over there, you will see all the information you need. You will see all of the publication they have done about 1502, all the reviews, the blogging, the videos we have done, and you can go to tobacco near you, and you see the map with all the location where they carry 1502. You only put your zip code and tell you which one is the nearest one. So it's a lot of information there. Or you can go to our social media. Everything is 1502 Cigars. Either on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, everything is 1502 Cigars.
And you really are amazing in the how quickly you get back to all the responses. Even Vince and I sitting here the other day, we were posting a couple of shots of what we were smoking, and you were virtually immediate. It was actually uncanny how quickly you get back, you know, either in a retweet or a response to what we posted up.
And that's a little bit awkward because, you know, sometimes my wife is like, the phone, please, the iPad, you know, put it away, it's my time.
Right.
Okay, honey, I'll do that, no problem. But I try to get them to respond the most quick as I can, that's for sure.
I think that's great. Is there anything you wanted to cover?
About where are the cigars made? Nicaragua?
Well,
Yeah.
actually, 1502 was the unit around discovered by Christopher Columbus, and our cigars are being manufactured in Plasencia Cigars in Estelí, Nicaragua. That's-
Wow, which is really turned into what feels like the new capital of cigars, right? I mean, it is everywhere. Nicaraguan seems to have taken over. And I don't mean that in any sort of demeaning way against the DR or anything like that, but it feels like the industry has moved in droves into Nicaragua and Esteli really as the center point. I don't know, maybe you can add something to that. I mean, are you seeing the same thing?
Definitely. And one of the things we always go in Nicaragua, when we're in Nicaragua, we go to Estelí, Cigar Town. As soon as you drive into Estelí, you can smell the cigar, the smell of tobacco. And that's wonderful. Now, Nicaragua is have a great advantage of growing tobacco. First, we got 4 different regions. We got Estelí, Condega, Jalapa, and the island of Metepe. And which the flavor, the construction and areas is quite different between one or the other. So in one country, you have 4 different tobacco, and you can mold and you can manage to create great blend. And also in Nicaragua, another adventure is that in the 80s there was a civil war there, so all the land rested for 10 years, and now a lot of the flavor, a lot of the strength you get in is probably a new land, and the land that has not been so much
Overly cultivated and right. Okay. Well, tell us a little bit about the business side of owning and running 1502 Cigars. Are you on the road a lot? Is making appearances at a lot of the stores a regular part of what you do? Kind of give us a day in the life of how you spend your time.
Well, Grant, let me tell you this. I haven't worked one day in 3 years. I hope my wife is not watching, so I always say I'm working. For me, this is not working. This is my passion. This is what I like to be doing. Not only smoking a cigar, also bonding with people, coming to a cigar lounge, talking to meeting new people, having approaching with a different conversation. That's for me. That's me. I love doing that. And yes, it requires a lot of traveling, a lot away from the family. I have 3 kids, and the new one is only 6 months. So you know that little part, it breaks your heart sometimes. But you know, this is what I do. This is what I like. This is my life. This is my style.
Wow, that's fantastic. Well, I've held off as long as possible for not lighting this, so if you make me wait any longer, I'm going to start to get cranky. So I'm going to light this up. Do you want to do a?
Well, I wanted to quick. How about something different we haven't asked is is there any interest in venturing into like Honduran tobacco or Mexican tobacco, which you're starting to see more and more people experimenting with?
Well, we talked about the 5. You have something that has, what is it, 5? Up to 5 different?
5 different tobaccos for the filler, but it's Nicaraguan.
Okay, it's all
So
Nicaraguan.
I mean, yeah. So I didn't mix that many countries. There's only two countries to it, but yeah, you can go to the DR.
Well, actually, each of the blends is 90% of my cigars. They have tobacco from Nicaragua.
Okay.
But they always use something else to give it a perfect touch. For example, the one you're holding right now,
Yes.
it's a jalapa wrapper, binders from Nicaragua, long fillers from Nicaragua, but it has a long filler from San Andres, Mexico, which you don't see that very often. You see a lot in the wrapper,
Yeah.
but not in the long filler. But that little one, so tasty, so flavorful, and the aroma it gets out is phenomenal. It's fantastic. For example, the Ruby, and the which I'm enjoying right now, it has an Equatorian wrapper, binders and long fillers from Nicaragua. And the Black Gold we were talking about, it has a wrapper from San Andres, Mexico, a double binders, and 3 ligeros from Nicaragua. So it's always a little bit of something else to give it the perfect touch. Now, let me give you a side information.
Yeah.
This year, we'll be coming out with the 4th blend of 1502.
Oh, really?
It's called 1502 Nicaragua. That is 100% Nicaragua. And it's tobacco for the 4 major regions of growing tobacco in Nicaragua. You got Estelí, you got Condega, you got Jalapa, and you got the Isla of Metepe. All created in one cigar. And actually, it was very interesting how I started working in that blend. And it was when my wife told me she was pregnant. So the moment it's like, I had to do something. And I was thinking about my son. So I create that so my son never forget his root, 100% Nicaragua. And I'm gonna do is that when we get the first production, the first box, I'm gonna put it away, and whenever he's 18, I will give it to him so he can open it up. Hopefully he will share with me, and he can smoke his cigar. His
Wow.
1502 Nicaragua.
What a great story that is. Wow. Listen, I'm honored that you actually would share that with us. That's you know, this is a personal business, right? I mean, one of the things that we love about the cigar community extends beyond just the generosity that exists inside of the community, but it's also very personal. And I think, you know, as Fred had pointed out, people get to be themselves. And in this world we live in, the opportunity to do that and still run a profitable business is a terrific opportunity. So we thank you for, you know, sharing what is really a personal.
You know what? It is a personal business, that's for sure. But that's something I want to give later on to my sons. They can, if they're willing and they like the cigars, they like the industry. It's something they can carry on with that. So it's not. Hopefully, it doesn't end up with me. Hopefully, I will be the starting of a long-term cigars business.
So are you thinking? Are you already beginning to think about legacy and this idea of your son potentially taking over the business? If I'm hearing you.
Hopefully
Yeah?
they will do so. Actually, whenever I had the chance, I always take my oldest one, he's 10, and to work and even do inventory, doing this. And it was very interesting because I think it was in Pittsburgh doing an event there, and my wife, we had a Chips and Cigars SIP, and I called my wife and said, honey, I'm here, it's a Saturday, you have to go to the warehouse to get those cigars. And she's like, but I have no clue what to do. Do something. Go get Alejandro. Alejandro's my oldest one. Give him the keys. Tell him what he needs, and that's it. She called me like 20 minutes after. Like, yep.
He had it.
He had it exactly what it. It's a 1502 Emerald Toro night count. It's like, how many boxes? 2. How many? And he gets perfectly. And he's carrying the boxes. He knew exactly what to do.
Wow.
It's only 10 years, and that's why. Because every had the chance, I always take him to the. Well, with the other ones come along, they will be doing.
They're going to do it as well.
My second kid, Antonio, is very interesting because he has a great flavor and personality. And I was working with cigar band something in the table, and I see his little hand is moving very slow. I turn out and he puts his hand out, and I asked what he wanted. He pointed one of the bands, and he got one of the 1502 Blackboard that was just taking the band out of the cigar.
Yeah.
And the first thing he do, he smelled it. He's like, yummy. So I was like, whoa, come here. I smell this, and give it a cigar. So he's like, yummy. So every time he always like see me getting my hand into the humidor, and he's like always trying to look over and reach and see what he's doing. It's like, let me smell it. So that kind of thing, you know, it really
Starts young.
It starts young, but for me, it's like a great satisfaction they hopefully later on they will carry this business with a passion that I started with Aries.
So you talked a little bit about the bands just a moment ago,
Sure.
and this is a very elegant band that you have. Is there any story behind how you arrived at the artwork? Because I'm assuming that, like everything else inside of the cigar, it's personal and it's reflective of a lot of your personal taste. So can you share with us a little bit about the band itself?
Excellent question, Grant, and definitely we will share it with that one. Actually, what you see in the center of the band, above 1502, you will see a Spanish doublon.
Mm-hmm.
That was the currency of Spain in the year 1502. And what we did in Globe Premium Cigars, my company, is unite most valid currency. You got the Spanish doublon,
Mm-hmm.
and from the old war and for the new war, you got our tobacco, all as one.
Wow, that's a great story. Well, listen, thank you for taking time out. It was a pleasure, Enrique. We're fans, and if you don't or you haven't yet smoked a 1502 cigar, do yourself a favor, go find out where they're sold, ask your tobacconist, and make sure you try each of them because each one is better than the last.
Grant, thank you very much. I just want to add something. I always finish with this sense. Remember, it's not a cigar, it's a 1502.
I like it.